some people, they, yeah. So that's how it seems to me.
Yeah,
I
I
do
thought it was
think.
interesting. I thought it was interesting the way you, on one level, the background is love, and then on another level, maybe the level above, it went back to neutrality. It just kind of switched, which I don't know if it's that arbitrary a boundary, but I thought it was interesting. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Well, fascinating. It's fascinating. My sense in continuation of what you said, Vince, is that awakening can really support the process of opening the heart, so to speak. But it's like the sense it won't necessarily do it for you. And if you might be a person who've had very little experience with feeling and relating with the feelings of yourself and others, and you wake up, I have a sense you might still be a person who have a pretty narrow range of relating with your own and other people's experience and feelings, but you'll have a different openness to
Mm.
discover. So,
Well, that opens up another thing that's really interesting, and that is, does does personality change when waking up happens? Well, of course, before we even go there, we have to look at what is personality. But we can say, it's um, our default, our habitual way of seeing the world, our habitual responding to stories of self would be expressed by personality a lot, I guess. So yeah, that's interesting. If transformation seems to be something that's quite possible with that. Yeah. In fact, I think, yeah, thinking about it briefly, of course, um, waking up is a transformation. It does change our relationship to the world, to other people, to ourselves as well. If we've had a lifetime of responding in a certain way, especially if that way is predominantly avoiding uh, childhood trauma, or however we want to describe that, then when we no longer need to avoid it, of course, we're going to have a different behavior and a different feeling. And I guess our personality will be different as well. Our personality, if we were habitually grumpy, we can rather imagine that losing that is a personality transformation. I'm rather enjoying that you're sideways, Louise, and that's making me feel, no, don't change it. No, I like that you're sideways. That was taking up my sense of perception. Mm.
I can charge this way. Hello.
Bye. So have you had a personality change since last we saw you? I'm being a little flippant here, but underneath that is something serious. You had a bit of an epiphany last time, I think.
Um, Sorry, Dawson. Yeah, that was quite a strong. Oh, so sorry. Yeah, that was quite an amazing. I don't know what happened, to be honest, Vince.
You don't need to
I really
analyze it.
don't.
Yeah.
No, don't know something. And I've been working through the fetters, fetter 2 doubt, slowly, like really slowly, because each time I do another video or watch, read notes, yeah, this stuff comes up.
Yeah,
And
you
today,
see new stuff, yeah.
yeah, new stuff. And today was interesting because I saw doubt quite strongly. But there was a bit of distance from it this time. Still sucked me in a little bit. But yeah, there's just been much more noticing around the sensations. Yeah.
So I'm not asking you to analyze it, but rather just tell us what you've already seen. How would you see the sensations, rather what place do the sensations have that you experience in keeping you away from something? Did that make sense to you? You know what I mean? It was a bit vague. Yeah.
From the experience, I'm fairly new into this, but there's an awareness of the actual sensation itself. I'm so much more aware of the sensation, and the avoidance. What I'm noticing is the avoidance.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's really subtle. I had no, like the big stuff, really obvious, but it's the little things, the real like little pinches, and the like yesterday there was a lot of irritability, but instead of a story around that, I just watched the irritability all day, and it played out in various ways, but I didn't kind of take it as seriously as I would have done before, because there's sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
And so when it's there, is your primary relationship with it one of curiosity that it's there to tell you something, or is it a primary relationship where you just want it to go away?
No, now it's curiosity.
Great. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, that's changed. I'm not frightened. I don't have any fear around having that kind of pinching. Yeah.
Yep. Did you used
anymore.
to? Did you used to have? Yeah. So anymore. So you did used to. Yeah. Great. So that's a huge shift when you.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And then it becomes quite intriguing, doesn't it? I mean, you go, wow, yeah, here's this mechanism that I never saw before. It's a messenger and ringing my doorbell, and now I can have a look and answer it. Say, yeah, what do you want? That's big.
Yeah. Well, that's really powerful. I sometimes have to watch that I'm not doing it to get rid of it, but it's like that. You're right. It's the curiosity to actually sit and ask, what is, what do you want to show me? What is it? Yeah. I hadn't kind of realized that there isn't so much fear around actually doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a guide training session earlier just before this one started, and one of the things that we were discussing, what waking up seems to do is gives us tools to be able to go on and look for ourselves, even if those tools are to know when to ask for help and who to ask for help. But nevertheless, we're no longer helpless. We're no longer victims. We can move forward. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that. That's great.
Thank you. No, thank you. And that's why I'm here, because I found this very, very helpful to be able to ask and learn. Just from listening to other people, it's just really, really powerful. Like, person after person, listen to other people's experiences and insights.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's so missing in our society that we never talk about this stuff in normal social situations. There's some kind of taboo against it. I guess that's why we call it liberation. We're no longer compelled to obey those taboos. But yeah, it's big.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Vince.
Yes.
So yesterday I had an interaction, and something that the person said triggered me. And I noticed that I had assigned negative motivation to their action. And so I recognized I have no idea what their motivation was. And then I was owning the experience of shame that was arising. And I pulled out a notepad because I wanted to inquire more about it beyond just being with the sensations that were arising. But I didn't really know what questions to ask. So when I asked, for example, what do you have to share with me or to show me, I didn't get anything. And so then I just kind of put the inquiring away and just stayed with the sensations. So, yeah, I'm not real clear about what questions are useful.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So you're fairly clear, I guess. I'm asking that the feeling of shame that you identified was a messenger, that it was there to tell you something.
I asked.
Yeah,
I mean, right. So there was a certain sensations that then got the label of shame. And so I was just sitting with that and not trying to get rid of it, just being curious about, not even just being with it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you were then. You were recognizing that the messenger value of that sensation of the shame of what you did. Yeah. So it's technique, I guess, that I offer you that says whatever it is we can identify, whatever it is that we can put a label on, is not the thing. It's not it. It's what's underneath that, what triggers that. That is the issue. And I guess it's pretty kind of easy to see that you would say, well, why have I got shame is the same thing as what does it sit on? But except that the why question tends to excite our mind, and it wants to then take us off down rabbit holes that are leading us away from, again, what is actually underneath it. So by sitting with the shame, what we don't want to invest energy into the shame itself, although that's extremely inviting. It's very seductive. What we want to do is get underneath any label that we come up with is a good indication that it's not it. But what it is a perfect place to start looking. And so it's what's underneath that label. And what we'll find is that there are things underneath the shame. But again, don't chase it with the mind. So by sitting with the sensation, by identifying where the sensation is and getting intimate with the sensation, forgetting the label, now getting underneath the label, where is that? Where do you experience shame in the body? What does it feel like? And then get much more intimate with the sensation component of that. And that will take you to what shame is covering up. And it'll take you down underneath that. And so it seems like shame is an end in itself. You know, it's that it is about the shame. But the shame is going to be covering up, probably good chance it'll be covering up guilt. And then there's another label. So what's underneath that label, if that is the case? Right. So by getting closer and closer to the sensation of shame, that's when the stories start to A, make themselves known, and B, drop off. Right. So again, we notice the stories, but not engage with them, because that becomes the mind thing again. And then as we just notice them dropping off and get closer and closer to that sensation, it will change. The sensation will change. Where it is, what it is, will become different. It'll morph. And then at the point where it starts to become quite ephemeral, then something else, probably that guilt or whatever is underneath that shame, will become more obvious. And so it'll morph into something else. So the questions aren't actually questions as much as a curiosity about what's going on. What, not why or how, but what. What is there?
So what I'm hearing you say then is that it is enough to just be intimate with the sensation and curious and just follow it.
Yes, yes.
That's
Beautiful.
enough.
Well
Okay.
put. Yeah, it's more than enough. Yes, yes.
Okay.
It'll be productive. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much.
And your insight was beautiful. You know that you saw that you were projecting. You saw that you were investing motivation. You know, and of course, how can we know what somebody else's motivation is? That is so, yeah, that's blatant
Yeah,
almost, isn't it? But yeah, that's
totally.
so natural that it happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
In that vein, for me, I feel like it's useful to ask, like, what's being protected? And I don't think the question, it's kind of like other inquiry, right? It's not like with my brain, I'm asking what's being protected, so then I can come up with a list of things being protected. But it has more the subtle sense, like what's there? What's shame protecting? what would I feel if there wasn't shame? And then it's more like a felt sense, or like I get like visions or something, maybe.
Yeah, you're activating your intuition. Yeah, that's another way to describe that, what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in touch with the quality of the feelings, the sensation, and
Yeah, and I don't know. I was it makes me curious. I don't know if other people have that experience. Like a lot of times, like I get vision when I do that. It's like a sort of a vision or picture, an image of me as a little kid at a certain age, or at particular ages or whatever. And I'm definitely have never been a person of like talk to your inner child and that kind of thing. Like that's never really resonated with me.
mm,
But it does seem like that, just to be really honest, what usually happens is it's like some image of, maybe that's just memory coming up. I don't know, some image of a
mm.
little kid. But it's helpful. I mean, it seems like it has it has a quality to it. Like the child kind of has a quality to it at the time, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's the
And
same thing that you're talking about, but I say that when intuition there's a feeling of right, it's right, it feels accurate or something. And it's only something you can feel about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's also the other thing that I've mentioned sometimes is that that things will reveal themselves to you, and in your case, it's doing it by imagery. Sometimes people just get a, a verbal or a textual kind of image that reveals something to them. Yeah. But the story is a good way to put it. It could be whatever the story could be, pictorial or come in some way, but yeah, that's how it reveals itself. It just shows. Yeah, sometimes not clear. It doesn't matter. We don't have to look at the details of it, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's more like the quality of what
Mm.
is there. So inner energy, the energetic of what's revealed, the sense of it all, I guess.
Yeah.
I might say a few words, Vince, if that's all right.
I'm constantly amused by people asking permission. Go, please go. Yeah.
I just wanted to say hello to Elab. Nice to put a face to a guide. So nice to see you. It's interesting, Vince, you sent an email there because I didn't get one. I remember asking about the videos before. I've never watched any of them, and then I watched the 2 videos ago. Found it really useful where you Paul and John were cornering me. It's lovely. Yeah, and I've watched it 3 times already, and it's kind of one to keep watching. So I'll do that. I thought that was useful.
Yeah, there is
Then
good value in seeing it from the outside. You get to watch your own reactions that you don't see when they're
yeah,
happening. Yeah.
yeah, because you miss it. I don't remember it the way it happened. Like I remember it much more briefly, and I don't remember much of what happened. Then you're watching it, and I was watching myself going, "What's he going to say?" I had no clue what I was going to say or what you were going to say. It was like I was watching someone else and just squirming, "Oh, what's he going to say now?" But that was interesting to kind of face that sort of, "Oh, don't look at the video." It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. For whatever that means. Then it's kind of connected a little. I don't know if it's connected to the last video, but what's going on now with this sort of sense of kind of the last couple of hours, particularly, just feeling really pissed off, sort of self hatred or self anger. And I'm attaching it to the last video as well, which I watched then as well. I was kind of annoyed with myself, kind of going, "What did you do? Why did you just keep your mouth shut? Like, what? That was very unskillful." Like, oh, Vince is going to ban me from the meeting now. All these things are going on in my head, and I'm like, oh, but they're just flavors of this. Yeah, just anger coming up, this pissed off, just frustration. I can feel it in the body. I can feel it in the center line. I can feel it in the jaw, the throat. Uh,
So do you see that anger as a messenger? Are you curious about it?
yeah, yeah,
Well, I guess the first step, and I've never thought about it like this before, but I guess the first step is to move beyond the wanting it to not be there, which induces extra things like the suffering of saying, well, it shouldn't be there. There's something wrong about it. So once that's out of the road, that we're curious about why it's there, then that's a big step. And it's a
yeah.
step inwards, isn't it? It's a change of direction from outwards to inwards.
And it's not like I don't want it to be here. I wouldn't say that. I don't know why you raised it. It's more like, no, I don't mind it being here, but I want to give it a voice, or I want it to have its day. And I'm curious as to how that will manifest. Because there's the ability or the willingness to be angry. And it's like but minding the fact that I'm not just going to come on here and be angry with this group, or come on and just kind of empty my garbage here. Do you know the kind of way? It's not. It's funny. The anger wants to express in a way that's okay. I can drop into the body, feel the sensations, channel the energy. I can do that again. I've done that, and I know I'm going to have to keep doing that. That's the practice. But it's like, oh fuck this shit. I'm sick of it.
That sounds a bit like you're being angry about being angry.
Yeah, I don't see that. I just see that I'm angry, and there's a frustration.
So, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you, where would you like to direct that anger? At what? At who? Where?
Yeah, it feels like self, me.
At yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and what came up just as you spoke, it's like, I don't need to do all this spiritual bullshit. I just need to feel angry.
Mm-hmm.
There's something holy about being able to feel angry.
Mm. Yeah. So if you were to come up with a sentence directed at Dennis, let's talk in the third person here and say, Dennis, you are. How would that anger? What would that anger say? Do a bit of psychodrama, act it out. Now be angry. Say, Dennis, Dennis.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm just think. Uh, yeah, I'm not going to use the word that's coming into my head, but
You're
Dennis,
allowed
you're a
to.
gobshite.
No words are prohibited. You're allowed to say anything.
um, I'd say like this, Dennis, you're a scaredy cat.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you're afraid.
You're a bit timid in
And
the
there's
way you're saying that. I don't hear any anger in it. You're embarrassed to be a bit loud and
no. It's
Something's coming up here. If I like that, I'm sensing. I feel the sincerity when you said that. This your scaredy cat, and also not sure I got the word right, but I think I understood the meaning. Something with scaredy cat. Yeah, and when you said the holiness of just feeling the anger, I had a good feeling. Like it felt really sincere. Yeah, so I'm sensing alongside the words and the words about the anger, I'm sensing this sincerity and courage. Yeah. And when you spoke about your fear, I the sense here was that that's a courageous act.
yeah.
And to yeah, and also to say that the anger is holy. There's also a courage there.
It feels like Elad. It feels like the courage is killing me.
What is your fear?
Might that be a good kind of killing? Might that be a loving, hard and yet beautiful?
Yeah. It's linked to the fear. If I have the courage to be, the other side of that is the willingness to fail, to feel fear, to get things wrong, to fuck up, to be not the idea I have of myself that I'm holding strong to. I have to be a failure, a fallible human being instead of what I've always tried to be since I was a young person, perfect, successful, the one in the family that does well, that everything's okay, the strong one, that kind of shit. It's all connected. Yeah. What I'm afraid of though is being an ordinary fuck up like everybody else.
Mm.
and not being special. Because we all, when I say we all, I don't know about you guys, but you feel some way special, or I'm unique, and it's great to be me, isn't it? And I wouldn't trade me for you or anyone else. And it builds up around that, the specialness of the one, the self, ourselves, and it's the mourning the death of that lie, and it's painfully slow, and yet something wants to do it and drag me kicking and screaming through it. And sometimes I like, and then the mind kicks up. No, don't fucking say, don't do that. Don't. Oh, you're a fucking idiot. And the statement that really rings true. And I used to say it about other people. And I used to think of my dad. Feel, what was it like? Something like feel sorry for the man who's outwardly angry. It's nothing. It's nothing compared to what he's doing to himself internally. It's just a sign of something more sinister and deep. And the anger wants to express itself as just saying to everyone, fuck you, fuck this, fuck that, fucking, that kind of shit. It's like we're all on the Titanic and it's sinking, and we're all having a chat about shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's why I said I'd rather be angry than just spiritual seeking, or maybe spiritual seeking is a fucking bypass for just not being angry.
What would you be without your anger?
It feels like you're asking anger that question, Paul, and anger doesn't even want to entertain it.
Anger says fuck off.
That's what it was, Vince. Yeah, thanks for voicing my.
Yeah. Now answer the question.
Well, I kind of want to say there's nothing wrong with anger. So why would we want to be without it? In fact, I think I've been without it way too long. So
Do you feel like you wouldn't be you without that anger?
yeah, it's just another question I don't want to entertain.
I want to say, to me, it feels like this feels healthy. Like it feels healthy that you're taking the time to feel, is this a question does this question feels right for me now? And that you're claiming your right to not want to entertain a question.
Yeah. Yeah. And no disrespect to Paul. I know what you're trying to do and where it's coming from. But it's saying to anger, well, you don't really need to be here. And anger is saying, fuck you, I do need to be here. And you need me here.
I don't take it as a sign of disrespect. I mean, the question's already out there, whether you want to answer it in here or not.
I know you've already shot me in the ribs, Paul.
You'll be looking at it.
Yeah, I'm inclined to what Elad was saying. To me, it feels authentic. That anger feels like You know, that's been there for a long time, wanting to be expressed, and it's always been pushed down behind the idea of being perfect, you know. I'm
Yeah.
really,
And
I'm
being,
really,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, I'm really encouraged today by the fact that your hair is not perfect like it usually is. You've got a couple of
What?
strands sticking up. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I can already feel a
And
difference in the body.
and Dennis,
Mhm.
I was going to say, I think that like it could be one of two things. It could be that you are an anger repressor, and now you're starting to get in touch with your anger, which is like super healthy. Like it's a wonderful thing. Or it could be that you're a sadness, fear, or hurt repressor, and anger is your go-to. Like for me, I go to anger. But what
Oh no, I'm
I
definitely
have
the
trouble
first.
with is, oh, okay, so you're an anger repressor. So this is healthy.
Yeah. And I'm definitely not
It
the
won't
latter.
be there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it wasn't safe to be angry. And then now, as it comes up over the last few years, it's like, well, I'm not going to start being angry around the people I love and my family and my kids. And so it's like, but I am angry. So then it turns into this stuck grumpiness. And that's not good for anybody. So it's how to be really angry.
Part of what I find beautiful is the sense that right now there are these moments where it feels like the anger is basically just getting space. It's kind of like, it's almost like you could say it's coming home, or I'm kind of playing with words, but it's like it's being united with love or just with clarity. And
Yeah.
that's something else than either being, kind of reactive outward as a way of trying to get away from something, or repressing and shutting down, or self kind of, you know, turning on self again as a reactivity, as a way of it's a yeah. And what I'm sensing
Keeping it
here,
stuck. Yeah.
it's like the intention can be good enough, by the way, in a sense, in both the reactivity and in the if it's kind of turning inward or self-attacking, but it's still places that are trying to do something with it. There's not stillness yet. There's not there's like it's not being accepted yet in those expressions. And here there are those moments where I guess sense that it's like you're just expressing it. And then the sense here is it's being, it's like it's the lost son that's coming home, that it's a dramatic language, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
kind of being united with clarity.
Yeah, there's definitely an aliveness with it. There's a coolness in the body. It's sort of the clarity in the arms. There's something about it. And then just as you were talking, my heart just went crazy, like just started to beat really fast. It's like it wants to express, been trying to express. That suppression is, and I don't even know I'm doing it. But today, I suppose, and we're doing a lot of meditation or sitting lately, and with these talks and watching back the videos, there's just that frustration now is just, it wants to come out.
Mm.
And this forum provides the ability for me to express it.
Dennis, earlier this week, my husband doesn't drive anymore, and I told him I needed some alone time in our home because I don't get much alone time because the only time he leaves is when I'm driving him to a medical appointment. And so I dropped him off for a couple of hours, and I walked into my house, and I just raged. Fuck this, fuck you, fuck that, fuck this, fuck mom, fuck that. And I just screamed it throughout the house. And then when I finished, I went, whoa, that fucking feels good. I didn't hurt anybody. It's out there. I have space for myself to be angry. I got to tell you, it felt so fucking good. It's really nice to let
Yeah.
it loose.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because it brings up two things for me. The first is in the space I'm in with 5 kids, obviously my wife. There's never a place to go be alone. And even if the house was empty, the neighbors are so close. That's still not an option. I'd probably have to get in the car and drive somewhere as remote as possible. We even do that, yeah. And that's I can imagine how doing that would be nice and releasing. But when you started deaf and blind, and two things came up. It's like my dad does it less now, but used to do it an awful lot when we were young. That sort of anger release. I think that was part of my suppressing my anger out of fear. But also then as I got older, I'm not going to be like him, so I'm not going to do that. So I've suppressed it again. And when it comes out, it reminds me of that and him. And I'm like, oh, usually sometimes you do things you feel like your mother or you feel like your father, or you can see that sort of connectedness in you. So all that's been resisted as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis, I'll just offer you this. You don't really have to drive somewhere remote in your car. Just being in your car can be okay. That's pretty soundproof. And the other one that you can do that's quite releasing is you can scream into a pillow and nobody will hear you. They're two techniques. I'm just offering you that possibility. So you might drive the car just down to the local park, but and if there's nobody close to the car, they won't hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too. The thing with anger is so when we before this stuff, way back when, if you were to express your anger, you'd direct it at somebody or something. And now you recognize that it just wants expression. It doesn't belong to somebody else or something else. It's in you. And you just want to be able to experience it and fully, which means letting it out. So it doesn't have to be directed at any object or any person or any situation. It can just be expressed because there it is. Doesn't need justification. Yeah,
That's true, Vince.
yeah,
Even just
yeah,
saying I'm angry and saying it in a way that is angry is its expression.
yeah.
I have the idea, oh well, if I'm to really express it, I'm gonna have to start shouting, screaming at Vince and calling them all the names under the sun and letting loose but that's just the mind
Mm.
trying to tell you what it would be like, so don't do it.
Yeah, well, of course.
I was just using you as an example, Vince. That's not something.
Yeah,
Don't get
that's fine.
burned,
And
but
look, if you ever wanted to do that with me, I don't mind that at all. I'm not going to take it personally, you see. Um, but yeah, no, so it's something that happens here. See, I get angry sometimes and it just erupts. And my wife always says, "You're angry at me." She takes it personally, and I'm saying,
person.
"No, I'm not. I'm not angry at you. I just want to express my anger." But people will take it that way. So that's a consequence that you need to recognize it. If you're around someone in your anger, they'll think you're angry at them, even if you're not. So that's much better to do it alone and just do what Irene did. That was beautiful, Irene. I love that way you said. And I felt it in that when you was telling us about it. There it was again. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's lovely to be so unspiritual as to express anger so freely.
Uh,
Yeah, like my ideas around it are so messed up. Like I think like it's not safe. You can't express it. If you express it, you'll damage people. Not healthy. It's dangerous, or there'll be consequences. That's a big one. There'll be consequences. So I don't want consequences. So it takes, like Eli was saying, there's a courage to do it because it's not in my bag of tools that I regularly use. So trying to flex that muscle in a way that it becomes a muscle that's useful to be used when needed enough, as opposed to being something that's been taught and now it's just going to snap.
Mm.
Yeah, and I would like let the anger be your teacher in what anger can teach you, more than what anyone outside says. Like, there can be this anger. What can you tell me about how you want to express, about what it means to be with you? Right? That's like a question to your own heart, to your own body. Yeah, in the moment. It's a relationship.
I was just going to say, the first thing it says to me is, I will give you clarity.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I'm going to leave with those beautiful words. Thank you, everybody.
See you, Elad.
Good to see you.
You too. And there's something special about the ability to be angry and for it to be seen by the people here and not rejected or reacted to, but in fact not taken personally and encouraged, sensibly encouraged. That has its own profound effect too, than even just being on my own screaming.
Mm.
There's not a rejection with it.
Mm.
And kind of society does that. Don't be angry. You'll be rejected. Like, that's not, you know.
And there was probably that lifelong thing too when you saw it in your father to say, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I would have said that to myself in some way. But I've always looked back, and part of me had admiration for his ability to express, and I think that was healthy for him. Not necessarily for me as a kid, but
Yeah. It's amazing how many people, and I come across this quite a bit, who will just cower in the presence of anger, even if it's not directed at them. Just being beside it is enough to make them just shrink up and be really protective and scared. The unrestrained energy of it, perhaps. I don't know.
and it's funny in its because it felt like it was coming up a little bit in its purest form, and it didn't feel then like anger. It felt like really clarity. It's crystal clear clarity, like a samurai sword. It's just this, that,
Yep.
yet no. And so if it can be expressed in its natural form, it's not this other sort of muddled, mixed, emotional sort of kind of angry, kind of repressed, kind of whatever, and it's just messy. Real anger is it's nice. So I've expressed it all, Vince, now, and I'm fully awake.
Very good. There's always some truth behind a joke, you know. Yeah, and I reckon you stirred up some other things here. I'm looking at Andre here, and I think he's about to jump out of his skin.
Right, he can continue the conversation. So
And Scott was nodding as well.
I was listening to this and I was like I was getting angry at not being able to be angry, and I thought, oh, come on, Dennis, you can. I mean, I cannot do it, but maybe you can do it because I have no fucking clue because I just feel that there's something boiling, and that's it's been the theme of the last week or maybe 2 weeks. And I was thinking today, maybe I shouldn't go to this group. Like maybe I shouldn't. And then I would like sort of hear your voice, Vince, saying, "Oh, that's you're avoiding," and like, oh fuck. So I have to go to the group because I don't want to avoid it. But then for me, not going to this group is a way to be angry. And I think like Dennis, you mentioned a toolbox of ways to express anger. And for me, one of the ways to express anger is shun people, to ignore people. And it's just what I picked up from, I suppose, from my father. I'm not, I don't go directly with like, I don't shout at you, or I can, but the go-to in terms of anger is if I'm not, well, most of the time, sarcasm, ignoring, or um, yeah, that's these two basically. Um, and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, oh fuck, wait, it feels like this group is talking about apples, but we're not eating apples. It's like, welcome to this group. Today will be, there will be apples there. And okay, so I'm gonna taste an apple finally. And then we just talk about apples. Apples are green and red, and they're nice and they're authentic and they're la 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 nutritious. But and then the group is over and there are no fucking apples. And I'm like, we're like, I don't want to talk about apples. I just want to eat them, right? I don't want to talk about anger. I just want to be the anger. I just want to be with the anger. I just want to give the anger, like Ella had said, just let it teach me. Because I think I have so many fucking ideas about anger and how it should be and how it shouldn't be and how it can destroy the world, I mean, la 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 la. I don't really, I think I am, I think anger is great. But I am, I am angry with at myself for not being able to be angry or for not being able to tap into it to sort of express it fully because I think that whatever forms of expression of anger I have, they're not enough, they're not genuine, they're not they are too timid, they're too scary, um they're too flawless, like they have to be pretty. My anger has to be pretty. My anger, um, and I'm also thinking like if someone cuts me and with their car or something, and I'm angry, and I just snap, and I start yelling at them, and then I sort of jump to the last stage where well, both cars stop, and we sort of run at each other, and then what? Someone has, there has to be physical violence. So for me, anger um has to have this climax, has to have this peak of physical violence. Otherwise, is it not fully expressed, or is it enough? Is it again? It's ideas, and I understand it's just me talking about it, but I don't I don't like to be prompted to feel anger, because this happens so much, and especially those, psychological trainings and retreats and stuff where they tell you, okay, grab a pillow, hit a fucking pillow and fake it till you make it, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I my I just feel that the kind of anger that in order to wake my anger up, it has to be a very slow process. It has to be very gentle, slow, caring, loving. Um, it's like don't rush my anger. Like let me, and I'm doing it to myself. I'm trying to rush my anger, feel it, show it. Yeah, but then it just doesn't happen. And I just feel like it's not I don't want to fake it, and it's not showing itself. I'm suppressing it so much, or something is suppressing it so much that I just um that I most of the time I am this nice guy, I'm a nice dude, and I'm not a selfish prick like Paul said. Um and I think I am disappointed, because that's probably how I'm going to end up, just being this nice um nice guy. Yeah. Uh, Fuck. So I was thinking maybe it's just like, is it gonna help me if I don't show up? Like, is it gonna like, should I send Vince, I don't know, like a package with crap in it or something? I don't know. There has to be like a way to express my forms of anger are so, or, or, or I don't know. They're so childish, maybe. They're not even childish. They're just
A
uh,
covert.
a what? A
Covert.
covert? Covert, yeah.
Covert.
And I thought that martial arts would help me to unleash it somehow, but no, I think whenever it comes to, and once you said it, like some people, um when there's an eruption of anger, they just collapse, they just shrink, they just contract, and that's my story. I mean, when people are shouting in the street, most of the time I just, well, I'm not gonna run away, but I definitely not the one that like, oh yeah, bring it on. Like I'm more like, I'll just I'll think I feel scared straight away, um I'm scared of others' anger, and I'm scared of my own anger. And it's not like it's not it's I think it's a the fear is so childish. It's just the bodily reaction is like freezing. I fucking freeze. Uh,
So what if it's not just childlike? What if it is a child, your inner child, when you were a child, that you that's when that's the reaction. It's what you learned as a child, that you're reacting to that anger now with that. So it's not just childlike, it's like an actual child reaction.
it, it it does, but it just it doesn't matter what I call it. It just takes over, and I mean, there's no longer an adult there. There's no longer Andre. There's just I'm just I don't. It's I just freeze. I don't even flight. I just freeze, and
Mm.
and I also feel frustrated because I mean, I thought I had some kind of contact or relationship with my anger in the past. I thought I discovered it a little bit, maybe sort of started to become friends with it, and now I just realized that it's just a zero progress, nothing. It's just like I still this whole fucking topic um is basically like an uncharted map for me. There's like I don't know this territory at all. And my response is is freezing, is yeah, like those possums, you know, just faking death. Yes. So I was hoping that today we all feel some anger, and I was and while I'm saying that my natural response to anger is freezing and not being able to feel anything. Sorry. I was feeling these trepidations. I was feeling like my heart was going crazy when when this anger was being felt here and was being talked about in the way that it was. And when Iran said about yelling and it kind of it sort of scares me at the same time, but also um no, it just scares me now. I wanted to say it excites me, but it right now, no, it doesn't excite me. It's just I just feel like I want to close this door. Like I was too brave. I thought I was brave enough to open the door of the anger and say, yeah, bring it on. But now I'm just thinking, ah, fuck no, I'm not able to withstand the 10,000 volts or whatever, you know, this anger is going to when it runs through me. Um, and what it brings up somehow is the tears. And the tears, I think, are a way of it. Instead of anger, I feel tears. Instead of, I think there's an idea that it is instead that it's maybe maybe one is replacing the other, or maybe one is suppressing the other. Like instead of when you're supposed to be angry, and just bite someone, maybe it's a learned pattern where I don't know, if you try and if you don't like it and you want to bite someone, or you want to express your anger, and then they just slap you once and twice and three times and four times, and will you still be using anger, or you will just resort to something else, like you will use a different strategy? Like clearly anger is not working for me here. And so is it just a resignation? And instead of anger, you just start to feel whatever is acceptable. Sadness, pain, pity, I don't know. Because that's more, well, at least that's like a one way, one form of showing it, one form of expressing it, which is like wicked and distorted, but oh, fuck.
You know what comes up for me, Audrey, Andre, sorry.
Audrey, yeah.
You just reminded me of something. Two things. I love how your anger informs your comedic spirit. Like Vince said, you are funny, And that I can clearly see your funniness is fueled by your anger. It's like you work it into a way to make comedy work. But what came up for me on a more serious note was humiliation. Because I can remember a time in my teenage years where it wasn't safe to be angry in the situation, but there was a lot of anger and there was a sense of feeling humiliated. And then the tears came instead of the anger because it was like, boiling over. And it just, when you said about the tears, humiliation came up. Is that anyway connected to not really expressing the anger? I mean, you talk about it a lot. You don't express it.
Yeah, it's like it's coming up. You're the anger is coming up, and then someone and then someone just shames you, like, or like says, makes fun of you, like humiliates you, or humiliates the anger, and then maybe I don't know. It feels a little theoretical, but it does. There's a switch. There's a like the anger is not being taken seriously by a parent like figure or something. Maybe I don't know. Like it's like my dad um when I would cry, and then he would just put his when I was too much, probably, I don't know, I don't remember, and he would just put his hand over my mouth, and he would just do the so la, 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 la. So then all of a sudden serious emotion like crying, anger, whatever the baby is expressing becomes fun, which is not fun. It's just a way to avoid it by laughing at it instead of feeling it. It's like, oh, don't be angry, don't be angry. Let's make a joke. No, it's not my fucking joke. I am angry. It's serious. And then, and that's probably one of the reasons I'm not taking my anger seriously, because I think it's a fucking joke. It's not like it doesn't have a place uh in my life. It's doesn't serve any purpose. I know in theory it does, but
What about turning it inwards? Um, I knew a kid once a long time ago, and this kid used to get so angry that he would bite himself. He would hurt himself. He would bite his own hand in anger or frustration. Now I wonder if frustration's involved. For me, I used to get frustrated, and that would turn into anger. That was a regular occurrence. That was my go-to before waking up. I get really frustrated about something, and then I would get angry on top of that. But it's
well,
all the same thing, isn't it? Yeah.
that's me. That's what I've been feeling lately, and it's either anger or irritation or and and this group is also a little bit like this. Like today, we talk about awakening, right? Well, at least I talk about awakening, but I never really kind of taste it. I just
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah. Well, you've been doing that with apples, anger rather. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking when I thought about anger, apples, and I thought that's the same about awakening. Like what is the fucking point? Why am I here? Like what am I doing? Is it just am I just no, really? I mean, what's the fucking point? I mean,
It's a painting class or a drawing class. We're just drawing apples.
well, with a painting class, you take something back, right? You have a painting, right? Or it's just for me, it's like just like bad acting class. Well, and the one who's bad at acting is me.
Uh,
And I have all these famous actors here talking about acting, and I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
And then I just go back to my pathetic well, it's not pathetic, it's just ordinary, like Dennis said. Very ordinary life of a very nice guy who does things right, and and like you said, Vince, just trying to be a good person and make a difference in this world, and hopefully get a shift at some point, and then maybe help others get a shift at some point. Maybe not. Maybe just run over by a bus or something, and that's it. But I don't know.
Maybe you could borrow Dennis's hairbrush.
Oh yeah, Dennis's hairbrushes.
I'm still laughing over Audrey.
Audrey.
But I think we're similar in the way that we both did martial arts for years. I think when you suppress that stuff, it builds a lot of energy in the body. And without the martial arts, who knows where we'd be, because that can be quite destructive. That was something that saved you. That's how I feel about it.
Well, but it didn't really help me. I think your martial arts is better than my martial arts anyway. So
it probably is. Like in general, I reckon I'm better than you anyway.
Yeah. And your English is better, and you have a better accent, and
he hasn't got English. He's got Irish.
And you look better in general. Like your glasses are awesome. Like I mean, your hairdo is immaculate.
These cost me €2. So
€2?
Yeah.
€2?
€2.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's funny because I'm dealing with the anger today, and I'm listening to you, and I don't know whether I'm projecting or we're just sharing the experience, but it definitely felt like we're just bypassing this shit. We're just trying to bypass feeling anger with spiritual teachings and awakening. So maybe when I wake up and I'm clear, then I won't have to deal with any of this shit, and it'll all just work itself out lovely, and I'm going along for the ride. And the reality is you're fucked. You're going to have to feel that anger at some point, and there's no way around it.
I don't know what the protocol is here about referring to other programs, but the best program I know for getting in touch with anger repression is KI. They really have honed it to a fine art. So I send you both to KI because they are masters of anger repression. Yeah.
I thought we were masters.
And Dennis, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, but
we're going to go and teach the program.
Yes, but the anger's running your lives, and if you like, Dennis and Andre, you can contact Vince. He has my email and phone, and I'll send you a link to the person that I'd recommend you contact. But you can so get through this. I mean, I've seen so many people work through anger repression on KI. It's like their superpower.
What does it stand for?
Killaby Inquiries. But let me send you a contact there. I'd really recommend a guy named Dan McClintock, who's just fantastic. And he came over anger repression, and he was just the sweetest, most affable guy, just a real sweetheart. And now he can get in touch with anger, as well as the next person. I mean, really, it's pretty impressive. Anyway.
Yeah. Orange just put it in the chat.
Okay, I could do that. Yeah. There we go. Irene. Yeah.
Dennis, you're gonna beat me to it.
Yeah.
You're gonna beat me to it, right?
I'm gonna get there, wait for you, and then beat you up.
Who, me?
No.
You have to fly to Canada for this, or we have to meet somewhere midway.
No,
we'll meet in the web.
In the web, yeah, in the web of the web. Fuck.
Let me give you his email. Okay.
The only protocol here, Phoebe, is that there is no protocol.
Okay. All right.
Andre, I was so moved by your description of this little kid being so angry and then a hand coming and going like that. It was like, I could just feel the frustration of that for that little kid. Yeah, I can really get in touch with that anger of, don't sidetrack me. I'm feeling angry. It's not funny.
Okay, there you go.
Wait.
That's his email, and you can just contact him directly. But it's really amazing. It's so freaking effective for anger repression. Now, I'm a hurt repressor, and I had more trouble with it. So
it's interesting because I am full of rage, and you're talking about Scott Kilby, and there was a time probably about a year ago that I took all that rage and focused it right in on him. It was everything that was happening was his fault. And it's making me laugh because I can see it all now, and I mean, and I took it to extremes. Like I called Rick Archer and told him he shouldn't have his interviews on there. And I mean, I was just, and it was all about me and had nothing to do with him, but it's just making me laugh right now.
Yeah.
It just, how ridiculous at least I could be.
Last night, I'm working on the biggest project of my life. It's a huge project, and I have a month and a half to do it. And I reached out to my daughter. I wanted her feedback, and she's in London, so it's not easy to get access to her. And she just kept blowing me off. And around midnight last night, or actually it was midnight for her, so it was 8 p.m. for me. She was like, well, maybe Monday. And I texted her and I said, Monday will be way too late. And I got off, and I was in a rage. I was so fucking angry and hurt. And I'm watching this. I'm watching myself dissolve. And I've had the job for 2 weeks now, and I've really been calm and like in the flow. Like I'm in the flow. I'm doing the work. It's happening. It's great. And then last night it was like this meltdown. Someone else talked about, Irene, you talked about having a meltdown yesterday, or someone else here did. And it's like, yeah, I was in a meltdown last night. And I just heard this voice say, your daughter has put up with you needing her to solve your fucking problem all her life. Why don't you solve your problem and let her off the hook? And then I fell into what's the sensation in the body, and what it was terror. It was terror. What if I make the wrong fucking mistake? What if I make the wrong fucking mistake? And terror on the level of survival. It's like, I am fucked. I am fucked if I make the wrong mistake. And then I was able to say, oh God, oh, sweetie, it's okay. It's okay. You're okay. We're okay. But this isn't your daughter's responsibility. You know, she doesn't have to come through for you. And you need to let her go. Like, she's not the answer. And Vince, I thought about you, and I thought, and Vince is not the answer. You know, it's like wanting these sources outside of me. I want someone else. Give me the answer. Give me the direction. So if it's wrong, I'm not fucked. But it was so clear. And I know I had dinner at midnight last night. I had some chicken, and then I went to sleep at 2:30 in the morning and slept 7 hours. And I got up and had a great day today. And that terror that I felt of me making the wrong mistake, me making a mistake, me getting it wrong. I just, it's, you know, I want waiting for that to come up again, because the closer that deadline gets, the closer I get to that deadline, the more that terror is going to come up. Like, you know, is it right? Did I get it right? And but anyway, it really helped Andre to get in touch with what's below my rage. Like, what's below the rage? And what's below the rage for me is terror and fear. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be destroyed. Someone is going to destroy me. And feeling that, and then realizing nobody's going to destroy me. No one's going to destroy me. This is a project. This isn't my fucking life. Although this is my fucking life. This, you know, torture, self-torture is the story of my life. But it was so neat to be able to see it, to witness it, and then shake it off and have a good night's sleep. And I don't sleep well, guys. You know, sleep is not my normal. So 7 hours is that's a good night's sleep for me. And yeah. So Dan McClintock, man, he is a guru on anger repression. So
did you do it, Phoebe?
I did 3 years of KI. I trained in D1 and D2, and I was training in D3 when I discovered the fetters. And but the sadness repression, the hurt repression I have, I just couldn't. I couldn't break through it. But the people with anger repression are having success left and right. I mean, it's really amazing. That's like their superpower.
And I know when you said the two, I kind of jumped on the first one because it definitely felt like anger suppression. But just maybe describe the other one again that you were. Would you just describe that? What that is?
The hurt and sadness. So hurt and sadness and vulnerability. So when I get threatened or scared, my first reaction is I'll attack. I attack. I go to anger. That's my first response. And it's very effective because it keeps people away generally. Generally, if you get in someone's face, they back off. So it works great. But what I had trouble getting in touch with was sadness and hurt. And it took me a year of trying to access them. And I was like, yeah, there's nothing there. No, and then I started having breakthroughs, and that was super intense and sort of really, really scary. And that's when I sort of backed out of KI and switched over to the fetters. But
right, because both, now that you explain it, both resonate. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of both. And in the suppression of the anger, there's like I say, there's grumpiness. It manifests in different ways, like grumpy, stubborn. But then with certain people, it could go the other way, like what you were talking about, getting in touch with the hurt and the stuff, that you can be angry with people that it's safe to be angry with, and far too often, because of your hurt and your shame and I've gotten in touch with those too. So it feels like it could be both, or to some degree, some of both, not just one or the other. But the way you shared it was lovely.
It's a really simplistic story to say that anger usually sits on top of other stuff. So anger, and it's a kind of a twist on the whole thing. So if anger is covering up, usually anger will cover up terror, and terror will cover up shame, and shame will cover up guilt, and so on and so on. Now that's just a simplistic story, but it's an interesting twist. If anger is covering up something else, but your relationship with anger is to not allow it, that makes it a really effective cover. You know, you don't even get close to what's underneath anger when you're not even getting close to the anger. Right, now they're just stories. It may or may not be the case, but you don't know what you'll discover. When your anger's gone, I'd be really surprised if there's not something sitting underneath that the anger was covering up.
Yeah. Definitely. I used to go around for years saying to people, and this wasn't in a spiritual thing, I could see it clearly in other people, and it kind of landed one day, and I said, you cannot get angry without first getting afraid, whether it was in a microsecond. And we think, oh, well, I'm going to be angry now, but that's just a bravado. I'm playing, it's a play. But someone who really gets angry in a microsecond beforehand, in some way, has to get afraid. And I could see that, and I used to say, you can't get angry without first becoming afraid. So if you're angry, it's what are you afraid of? But that was just a conceptual, intellectual thing I could see. I was never looking for it in myself.
Yeah, but it was pretty insightful, though. Yeah. And it always is easy to see in other people, or in ourselves if we're watching the video, but not when we're experiencing it, not when we're in it, living it out.
Yeah.
I've been dating a guy for almost 5 years now, and he's seen me cry once about 6 months ago. He saw me cry, and that was just, I just do not get vulnerable. I just don't go there. So, yeah.
I see the pictures of the horses, baby? Do you horse ride?
I love horses. This is my artwork. This is what I do.
Okay.
See if I do. I work in pencil. So
it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Wow. My daughter and my wife ride dressage and show jumping. So
Oh,
we're
do
around
they?
horses all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's exciting. I watched the Olympic dressage yesterday. Yeah, very exciting.
That would be our dream for Georgia if she got to the Olympics. She's going over to the UK next week to represent Ireland against England, Wales, and Scotland. So that's a big deal. First time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. That is a big deal. That's amazing.
Yeah. But they're amazing
Yeah.
animals, like to be around them. They like
Oh,
I don't know what it is about horses. Like if you're anyway off in the head, they know. They know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as Phoebe's drawing is absolutely amazing, and especially when you think it's pencil. Yeah, I owned a couple of horses for a few years, and immediately I was smelling the horse and feeling the horse, the texture on the nose of the horse as you touch it. That that beautiful, beautiful feeling of stroking the horse's nose or the anywhere on the horse really, and then the smell and yeah, they're so sensitive. Wow, yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of a diversion, but yeah, that's where you took me right back to the smell of the horse. Yeah,
Yeah. And do you remember Vince I was saying about having the heart thing just around Christmas? For a month after that, I went up to the stables every morning and mucked out the horses, fed them, brought them out the field, and just was around. I must have been around 40 horses, but working with two closely. And to me, that was part of the healing and recovery.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People do it for therapy, and I can fully understand the value of that. It's they are super special animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been,
And
Kathleen?
then,
Oh, it's going. Sorry, Phoebe.
no, I'll come back.
On my computer, so I'm sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Mm.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the not good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Very
all
good.
breaking. It is breaking up. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. I'm almost afraid to ask you how you are, Lisa Jane. But and maybe I could ask you to show these guys how to be angry. You would be good at that.
Well, it was interesting because when Andre and Dennis were talking about anger, you know, I've spent so much of my life being angry, and I was thinking about, all the different people that I've blamed, but what I got the most reaction out of what would bring the tears up was that I'm angry at myself for not being perfect. And not figuring, I'm probably dying right now. I've got I'm in liver failure, so I've got not feeling so great, got a lot of stuff going on, and I probably spent the last 6 months having what would have been called in the 80s nervous breakdown. I'm sure I would have gotten shock treatment and all the things if we were a couple decades back, just from kind of where my head went. And I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in this place where I feel like I'm probably at the end of my life and I got it all wrong. And I wasted all these years trying to fix me. If I could just fix me, if I could just figure it out, if I could be that perfect person, then everything would be okay, and the joke's on me. And it's interesting because I flip back and forth like from society's standards, my life is really bad right now. I don't have a whole lot of good stuff going on, but then I find myself just like singing. Or earlier there is a view of the dumpster in the RV park over here in the corner, and I watched some little boy trying to get the garbage into the dumpster, and he was like Spider-Man, just scaling all this stuff and doing all these things he didn't need to, and I was just mesmerized by it, and it was just beautiful. And so I don't know. I don't know anything. And like trying to, after what's gone down the last 6 months, and I do have a lot of pain inside my body, so it's really hard to go in here, and feel things. But the biggest thing that I found was that I've had all these really traumatic events. Like, if I wrote screenplays about them, I could probably cure cancer, if I had that skill. But it's not. And I've remembered a lot of things that I've forgotten, but it's not in the memories of the events at all. It's in the feelings that were around them, and really subtle things that you think wouldn't mean anything at all. But that's where the terror lies, is in those little subtle things, not in the big event. And that terror is huge. It is so big. It is, it's I've kind of learned to, when it comes up, that it's almost like this visceral, like I can feel myself like jump out of it, where I know I need to do the opposite, but I don't know if I can. And just really wish we got to understand. Because, I've spent my whole life trying to understand and figure it out, only to find out that you don't get to. There's no fixing or, I don't even know if I'm making any sense right now. But
No, you are.
well, one thing I do have to say is I really need Paul to go back to the basement because I'm really ADD. And when I start losing focus, I will zoom in on you in your basement and blow up the camera. And for some reason, looking at all the junk in your basement will help me stay focused. So you're totally throwing me off today by having dolphins in the background.
Oh, okay. The warehouse. Yeah,
Yeah, I need a distraction for when I get like
yeah.
this.
I'll go back there. I'll go back there for you. I was just back here a little more lately because it's a little bit cooler, but it's gotten cooler up in the front, so I'll do that for you. No problem.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
LJ, I just want to say the beauty of your being is so spectacular. I'm just so moved by who you are. And thank you so much for sharing. Man, I just appreciate your courage and your authenticity and your vulnerability and your truth. And wow, just you are spectacular, girl. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for saying that, but it doesn't feel like that at all. But I appreciate your words.
Oh man, I wish you could experience yourself from over here. Oh my God, you're just like spectacular. Incredible being that you are. My God. Phew.
And Irene, you don't know the half of it. What she's been through is just mind blowing. What she's going through is mind blowing. She says, "Oh, it's just liver failure," but nah, it's way more than that. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, LJ, before you shared, I was watching you and I was saying, I wonder, I want to find out about that beautiful woman. And to hear that you're dying, that your liver is failing, it's like I was just first of all, just admiring you physically and the colors around you and the color choices. And then to discover you, it's like, what a gift. What a gift. Thanks again.
It's funny you say that because I've been kind of getting shunned by people because I'm pretty bruised up and I was on a bus and I had some lady kind of like, and it's like, it's not AIDS, it's just blood thinners and, it's, yeah, it's funny how people are afraid of me because I represent all the things that in our society that we deny: death, suffering, pain, sickness, and it's become obvious if you're around me. I'm full of fluid, so I look like I'm like 10 months pregnant. And people's reaction is most people stay away. And I've kind of have had to learn to not take that personally which has been, I mean, like all these lessons I needed to learn in this life, man, they've been coming one right after the other, you know?
Mm.
I just would love to sit down and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee with you. Where are you located?
I'm in Washington State, north of Spokane right now. I've been living in a travel trailer for about 5 years. So
And can I ask, what's your name?
Lisa Jane.
Lisa.
But Andre, I have to tell you that I watch these videos even though I haven't shown up for a while. And you have helped me more than anyone.
Don't tell him that.
It really has. I mean, there's so much. It's like I feel what you feel, you know, and it's just like, oh. And you've given me a lot of insights.
I'm touched. I'm sorry,
It's
I'm
true.
touched. Yeah, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, in Canada, I have to add I'm sorry in front of everything. You know, they do that.
I love Canada. Are you in Vancouver, around there?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
I used to love Canada too when I was not in Canada. I thought it was a great place. Now I think US is a great place because I'm not there. It's funny what you just said triggered something in me because I went to movies last night, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, I watched this. Sorry, I'm not awakened. Um, and 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 he was actually talking about not being worthy, Deadpool, the character. And that's the question I had, and I'll probably have until the end of my life is like, what is my real value? Like, what is my um, what is the not the purpose, but what is the meaning? What is like, what why am I here? Like, what's the
What's the point? What's the point of all
what's
this?
the point? Yeah,
What's the
like.
point?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. If I were a bird that could sing, right? And then you just listen to the bird, and you would have, oh, that's a bird, that's nice, or a blue sky, or a blue sea, or something that people enjoy, and then sort of makes sense. But now what you just said, and I'm like, it gives me this kind of, um, there's like an inner bulb inside of me, or a spark, and it gives a little bit of glow to it, right? It's like. Like, um, I don't know, but what you just said made me a little worthier, like gave me a bit of a value that not like proud or anything, but just like, oh, okay. Like there's, someone, I was useful to someone in some way
Yeah.
or another way. And and it's not so much ego. It's kind of being seen, being heard, that sort of acknowledgement. It's
Yeah, don't worry, you won't feel it for long.
no.
Well, I see you pushing that shit away all the time. Everybody gives you compliments and you just brush it off. No, no, no. Yeah, you don't take it easy. You don't accept those things nicely, I think.
No. No, no,
And then
no,
you
no,
you
because
probably spend hours like undoing all the nice things and why everything they said was wrong. And well, if they knew this about me or they knew that about me or they do, that's what I've done.
yeah, but if you
But
like,
okay.
especially you can be so much better with it if you go to like psychology classes and then you could put sophisticated labels on it. I mean, if you're like, the more educated you are, the more sophisticated you are at devaluing yourself, at, at removing any value by calling it different fancy names and, traumas, narcissistic, la la la, wound, and all that. And it doesn't help, but it it
Gives you something to do and something to focus on. And if I could just fix this, if I could just get rid of this label, if that doesn't work, there's always the metaphysical world, and all the past life stuff and all that. It's my karma and I'm just screwed. And, you can beat yourself up there pretty good too.
She's
there's
talking
so
from
many ways.
experience. She does the same kind of thing,
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
helped so many people and she doesn't get it. Yeah.
not the only one.
Nope.
Yeah, but your colors, like the colors stand out. The colors, your garments and your house, these colors are quite bright. You cannot undo that.
Yeah, you could
What do
be
you
a
I
mean?
mean,
gypsy. You could be a gypsy, or you could be a witch. You could be a witch too. Yeah.
People have called me both
just
forever. Yeah. And
Could
it's
even
kind of
develop a good cackle there. Yeah. Mm.
that's I was having a really hard time because it's a really little trailer. But when you're traveling, you got to be able to pull it, and I didn't want to have a giant truck. And so, I've just made it work. But everything was tan when I moved in here. Like everything was just tan.
Mm.
And so I
Mission
painted it all.
Mission Brown, we call it.
And one day I was kind of sitting in the back and I was all like, it was pouring down rain and I can't believe this is my life. And I live in this little travel trailer and oh my God. But then I looked and you're probably too young, but there used to be this show on when I was a kid called I Dream of Jeannie. And she lived inside this bottle. And I looked and my trailer kind of reminded me of the inside of her bottle and it changed everything. And now I love my trailer. And it was just that one little flip that came in, and yeah, it's like my little safe space.
Andre, I know this isn't going to help at all, but you, to me, are so incredibly beautiful. Like, you are such a beautiful man and a beautiful person. And I see your struggles and I hear your struggle and I know you feel like you're stuck in the mud, but none of that matters. None of that diminishes your beauty. And I know saying this isn't going to make a bit of difference. It's not going to change your experience, but I just thought I'd say it anyway.
You'll just give him something else to push away.
Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
wondering, if you could capture his image, but you'd never capture the sound of his voice. I just love the sound of his voice. Yeah. That feels to me a bit like stroking the horse. The feeling that I get from hearing the sound of his voice is great. Yeah. But he'll flip all that away. There's none of that matters. Yeah, don't
Right.
worry.
thank you, Phoebe. I think Dennis is more beautiful anyway, so right.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what to I'm not used to hearing this. I'm not used to people say maybe I'm lying, not used to, but I don't really know what to do with it. Like I I wish I could. And I think this is what like I just I have no fucking clue. Like, do I let this in and and then I just keep having thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and if I take this from you, what happens next? Like, do I become indebted or um, do I make this place unfair because other people will feel hurt because they're not mentioned or they're not um, noticed in the same way, and then I have to sort of be humble myself or diminish myself. Um,
You're just
so
painting apples
I
again, aren't you? You're
no,
just
but
painting apples again. You're not feeling it. Just feel it. At the same
I feel
time,
guilt. I
don't take
feel
it
guilty.
personal. Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
take it
yeah.
personal. Oh, I
Well,
just
it
feel
is.
guilty.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's I think it reminds me of the that I think it's in Greek mythology, the Helena the what was it? The apple. Yeah, it was actually about the apple. Well, the apple that said to the most beautiful one, and then and it was just thrown to a group of women. Uh, I don't remember the exact story. Anyway,
I don't know.
so what I'm
But
saying is, it is. I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, there's part of me
yeah,
that sort of loves it, part of me that doesn't get it, part of me that gets fucking scared. Like, oh, no, no, take it away, don't give it to me.
yeah, yeah. There, yeah,
So that
yeah. Because there's the thing is, there's nothing for you to do. It's um you can take it in, but there's no expectation. There there's no expectation on my part for you to do anything that you don't want to do, whatever you want to do. It'd be great if you could get in touch with your anger. And 9 months from now or 6 months from now, you can come on here and just really do a demonstration of all out anger. And afterwards be like, it doesn't it doesn't matter. I mean, when it transmutes, then it just falls away and it just doesn't play anymore. It's not, whereas right now it's running your life. You're angry all the fucking time. You're angry all the time. It takes so much energy to repress that fucking anger. It takes all your energy. Yeah.
But hey, people like me for that. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Mm. Is that a Labradoodle, Scott?
It's good.
You're muted.
He's a Yorkie poo.
Right. He looks very much
And
like
Paso.
our Labradoodle having just had a shave, a haircut. Yeah. And you know how I was thinking about stroking the horse, the feeling. Well, the dog, I get a very similar feeling. Beautiful coat after they've been cut. Yeah, that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
touching him.
And they love it. Oh, our dog just comes up and says, "Touch me," all the time. Just, Well, how are you, Chenna?
I'm great. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been an exciting week. Yeah, sort of exciting, roller coaster-ish, but yeah, I'm great.
Mm.
Just a quick, Dennis and Andre, the first email I put down for Dan McClintock, I typed the address, the numbers wrong. It's 1980, so it's dmcclintock1980 @gmail.com, not 1908.
It probably relates to his birth date, so it'd be pretty old if it was 1908.
Yeah, thanks. Got it.
What comes to mind is, I guess, my starting points are coming up, the toxic starting point, so-called, as I, for example, when I think of what other people think about me, especially, yeah, those come up a lot. And there's an afterthought that makes me realize that that's actually my starting point, and it's quite funny. Yeah.
And what do you say it is? What is it? How would you
What is the
describe it?
I guess uh that I am not doing something correctly, I guess. That I'm doing it wrong, and there's no proper way of doing it correctly or wrong, but the starting point assumes that everybody else thinks that I'm doing it incorrectly. Yeah. And
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Yeah.
Does that, I was, what came to mind for me when you were saying that was question about, does that make you unworthy?
Unworthy.
Yeah, it's a twist on it. Yeah, but I wondered if that was involved.
Mm, uh, what is unworthy? It makes me lesser than other people, I guess. Yeah.
So others can get it right, but you can't.
Yes. As in, yeah, that is sort of not necessarily others can get it right, but it's me getting it wrong.
Yeah, gotcha. No matter how hard you try.
Yeah. Not no matter how, if I'm, I guess, I'm not sure exactly, but I haven't noticed it come up all the time, but this is what came up to my mind right now, and this is what happened like today, like right now actually, yeah, right now in this meeting, yeah, it's funny.
So is it possible that you could change and start getting things right?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if I could change. Getting things right is always, it's the story, right? So there's nothing to fix about the story, but I guess why I feel it, it can change, I guess, by being with it, sort of. Yeah.
So what would it take? Would it take more effort, or what would it take for you to start getting it right?
Getting it right. I guess more effort. I'm not sure exactly. I have to recall properly what happened. So yeah, it was about along the lines of, there was like a mental picture, and I was like, okay, I said that I'm doing great and that's it, and I should have said more than just that. Is like when you asked how I was doing, I said that I was doing good, and I thought, the afterthought was that that was not the ideal answer, that could have been better, or that's not the enlightened answer, or whatever bullshit comes up to mind. Yeah, I guess it wasn't the ideal answer, and yeah, I guess that's how I felt. And yeah, it's more effort. That's true.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that takes me back. At school, and wow, I'm going back 65 years now or something. And I got repeatedly, my report card said, Vincent would do better if he tried harder. And I never succeeded at that. I never could do that, whatever it was, yeah, but that was on many report cards that went home to my parents. Yeah.
Same experience.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But you know what? Now I recognize that the answer is not effort. In fact, effort is the reason why it doesn't work, you know. It's not about effort at all.
What is it about?
Well, that sentence, could do better if trying harder, it points to an illusion. It points to some end result, and the reality is that things happen because of conditions, not because of any single thing like effort. I have no control over the end result. If to say I should try harder is asking me to fly or to walk on water, things I don't have the ability to do. If I take that seriously and I try really hard to put more effort into it, within 5 minutes I'm not doing it again. It's just not possible to sustain. It's a joke. So the reality is that I see now, not back then, but now I see that things happen for a whole lot of reasons, and there's a bit of a paradox, and that is that end results are different when I am more relaxed, when I don't put effort into doing things, when I am more sensitive to what's going on. Things will happen. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but certainly it's clear to me that effort is not the answer.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think you see that also, but yet there's that toxic
There's a
starting
condition.
point. Yeah, that's the tricky one, isn't it? Yeah.
It comes up. It's the first thing that comes up. Yeah, but I can't control it. What arises from the body mind, I can't really make it not come out from the nothingness. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every I discovered it with golf when I was playing lots of golf, and then and now I play lawn bowls because I can't use my right hand. So and one thing I recognize is that every single shot that I had with golf, every single shot, every single time I roll that bowl, I am trying my best. It just happens naturally. There's no effort involved, but there is a desire, and there is an intention, and there is that whole thing leads into doing absolutely the best thing I can do every time. And there's no effort involved. I can't do it any other way. I'd have to really do something funny to kind of just
make it otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what we're talking about is it came from other people in the first place. That's why we call it a starting point. That somehow we were conditioned, or we were brainwashed, if you like, to think that we could do better. That effort would be the answer to doing better. So we believe that, and then we carry that with us. And it's ironic almost that when we do believe that, we tend to shrug our shoulders and give up, saying, well, I can't put effort into it, so and then we go, well, I'm a failure, so then we actually do worse than we would if they left us alone in the first place.
True.
So of course the whole point with
effort is, it's delusional.
Yeah.
Innocent.
So the whole point with a toxic starting point is to recognize that it's something it's like a raincoat we put on when in fact it wasn't even raining. So let's just take it off.
Can
Yeah.
I interrupt and I have a question about the first part of what you were saying, or maybe it's just how I interpreted it, but like when you were saying that, telling Vince how you were and it wasn't really how you felt, I've really struggled with that in trying to like be true to myself and be in touch with how I am actually feeling at the moment, and then saying what's appropriate to get along out in the world. And I've really created some havoc, and it's and I don't, what do you do about that? Like how do you figure out
Hmm. What do you do about trying to fix that, as in that starting
Or
point?
like we're being true to yourself, oh, I'm fine, I'm great, things are, blah blah, I'm having a positive attitude, yeah, I may be dying, but everybody dies, or whatever, that trying to make things okay for other people kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm. I think, being true to yourself is not true to yourself also is what is arising as well, right? If you don't want to be authentic and if that's what's arising, then there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we tend to think that inauthenticity is worse than authenticity, but that's all also made up. But yeah, I guess everybody keeps saying this, but yeah, it's feeling into the body that works for me. Really, just feeling how that feels to hold something and not be true to yourself. It's like a big contraction somewhere, and there's this constant push to be true, but should I not be? And what if that happens? And yeah,
yeah,
and a lot of sensations as well. So I guess there's nothing wrong with those sensations, and just staying with those is what is my experience. Yeah.
what I found is I've isolated myself from a lot of people, and it's probably not such a bad thing because they're probably people that weren't really my friends to begin with, but there's so many of them, you know? And one example that keeps coming to mind, and it was just kind of silly, but it ended up being huge, was I was really, really sick a couple months ago and in the hospital, and like they were thinking this could be it. And it's really hard to get any kind of medical help right here in the US right now. And I mean, blah, blah, blah. I could go on and on and on about, but anyways, I had a friend who we were really close when we were younger, when our kids were little. And she's actually living about an hour away from me. And I mean, she was there when my youngest child was born. So she's a pretty good friend, I thought. And, but, not everybody handles crisis the same way. And I need to remember that. But she I'd asked her for help with something that I really needed, and she gave me all these excuses why she couldn't do it. And then I saw pictures of her on social media fishing with her husband, right? And it really hurt my feelings because I was really in a place where it was like I needed a ride to the ER. I don't remember. It was something kind of big that she blew me off for. And then she wanted me to kind of make it okay for her, but I couldn't do it. I tried to, but it felt so wrong. And so I just said, look, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I got to be honest, this really hurt me and it made me feel abandoned. And I know it's my own stuff and you have every right to go fishing with your husband. But it turned into this thing where not only is she mad at me, like her whole family doesn't like me now. It's like this how dare she kind of thing, And it's like, I should have just said nothing, but it felt so wrong to say nothing. And it's like, where do you?
I see. I think what you did was the correct thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Being
just
true to
doesn't
yourself.
feel good,
It doesn't feel
It
good.
doesn't,
True.
yeah. Yeah.
It does not. Yeah.
But it was like you were saying, it's just so ingrained with us to tell people what they want, we think that they want to hear.
True.
And
yeah. And it hurts us in the end.
Yeah, I struggled for years, 50 years I struggled with. People would say, how you going? And I would tell them how I was going. And then I realized that they didn't want to know how I was going. They were just saying good day. And
yeah,
I've I've tried to change when I greet somebody now. I try to say good day instead of how you going. Like here, instead of saying good morning, because it's not morning for a lot of you, it only is for me, you know. So what it comes down to, and something that I've been aware of more recently, is that it seems to be appropriate when I'm having a relationship with somebody, whether we're just communicating irrelevancies or whatever, it doesn't matter. It seems to be appropriate that I try to come from where they're at. Right now, I say those words, but I don't mean that I put a lot of effort into that. It just means that I become aware of where they're coming from, and that way I get a better idea of what they mean when they ask me how you going. Right, and frequently I will say, "Oh, fine," whether I am or not, it's irrelevant because it's just a social greeting. It's not actually a genuine inquiry. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I don't feel less authentic for doing that. You know, it feels quite authentic that I'm relating to where I think, and I recognize that it's where I think they're coming from.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of looking at it. Yeah.
Mm.
I just need to take all that hypervigilance I got going and channel it into
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had a similar experience now. It's probably a couple of weeks ago, but that's irrelevant. To the and the situation was that I was over at my son's house and we were cleaning it up, ready for some renters to come in, and I was parked in the neighbour's driveway, and I thought the neighbour was overseas, and I'd met the father who was looking after their dogs, and he said it was fine for me to be in their driveway. Anyway, so I was in the driveway and I was cleaning the carpet cleaner, and this woman came out of the house that I'd never seen before, and asked me would I shift my car because I was in their driveway, and I thought that was fine, no problem. So I don't want to block you from getting your car out of your garage, so I shifted my car, and then she didn't come out. And while it was absolutely fine for me to shift my car because I was in her driveway and she might want to get her car out of the garage and go somewhere, when she didn't come out, my reaction was, "You bitch, you wanted me to move just because I was in your driveway." Right? Yeah,
Right.
so there's a similar situation to what you're saying, and much lighter, of course, but nevertheless. And so I was I was okay that I felt that because I saw it happen and I saw that I was angry with her as a result of that kind of thing.
Right.
But then the next day we had a FETA meeting and I brought it up at the FETA meeting, and in one move, one person pointed me to what was going on underneath that, which was a belief, and it was like a starting point for me. It was a belief that the world should be how I think it should be.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't about that woman at all. It was about me thinking how I think things should be. You know? And of course, as soon as I saw that, that was easy to let go. You know, what a joke that is. Yeah.
Well, I think for most of my life that I actually thought that the world was how I think it is and
Mm.
how I feel it is, and that everybody felt and thought like I did, and to different extents. I mean, I can remember when I moved out of Northwest Washington and moved across the mountains and was shocked at all the different political affiliations and religious and that people thought completely differently, and it was like, how could this be? Because I was just so caught up in my own head that I thought,
Mm.
it's all about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago that I was freaked out at the idea that there was about 60 million people in the US that liked Trump, that thought he was a good person. And I couldn't believe that was the case. I thought, no, the world should not be like that. I wasn't thinking in those words, but now I recognize. And so it is just the way it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's extreme.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
especially this area. Yeah,
And
I'm just
it's seductive. It's easy to get hooked into that stuff.
well,
Yeah.
it's been really interesting to watch and to try to understand. And then because like we do this thing, or at least I did, where like if we don't share those same affiliations, then it's like, I mean, the judgment is immediate. It's
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
there,
You're
you
not part of,
know?
yeah, not part of the group. You don't belong to this tribe. Yeah.
Right. And trying to work past that, because I've had to, living here has been, it's been a really good thing, but it's been hard, you
Mm.
know? And yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I find is when I don't have that, when I recognize that it's just my idea that things should be different, uh, that it's a lot easier to accept it the way it is. But also the big thing is that all those other spin-off stories don't happen. Well, like it'd be really easy to kind of go from uh, him becoming president and then America becoming like the Handmaid's Tale. That's a progression of the thing, and it could easily run down those roads. And then there's all the horrors that could come out of that. We see people hanging in the street because they disagreed with his ideas, and all sorts of things. There could be no end to the stories that we could create with that one. But they stop.
And,
They don't happen when I go, well, it's just my idea that things should be different. Yeah.
and for me to try to focus on, like I had an example yesterday. I've been friends with him for 20 years, and he was a single dad and I was a single mom. And we just kind of helped each other. We lived in North Idaho, and and we're very, very different. He's very Christian. He's one of those like Christian biker kind of guys. And I'm more, I don't know, pagan, whatever you want to call it. But we just never really went there. And he sent me this video from his church the other day, and I watched it because I told him I would. And I was horrified. And so it was just like, remember, this is why you guys don't go there. There's no point. There's no point.
Mm.
And
Absolutely. That's right. There is no point. Yeah. Yeah, you're never going
yeah,
to change, never going to change them no matter what, and certainly not with logic or science or anything like that. Yeah.
nope. Yeah. And that's scary.
Could
But
be. Yeah.
Oh, Vince, I've signed up to LU.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. So what's your forum name?
Lost Wave.
Right. Okay. No worries. I'll pick it up.
Sweet.
great name.
Hmm. Well, if nobody's got anything else to say, I feel it's getting close to breakfast time here. But jump in if you've got something.
Have you noticed that Paul is back to
Basement.
yeah,
He did that just for me.
yeah. Amazing.
That is an amazing space. There's no doubt about that. Like,
And it really does work for me if I, because I, will lose focus and then I can, I don't know, something about his basement and all the treasures.
Treasures. Okay.
well, they say one man's junk is another person's treasure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess.
Sounds like double entendre.
Mm.
Mm.
This is weird. Like I noticed, and it's something that I was meaning to like the topic. Well, not the topic, but the theme, like sex and anything related to that um has never emerged in this gathering. I mean, during the times that I joined, at least, or the ones that I watched, and I was like, now that I made a notice of the double entendre of the one man's junk, being, yeah, whatever, the joke is lost, and I was wondering why. Is it because there's no sex after awakening, or is it like
Is that another apple you'd like to polish?
that's another double entendre, but yes. Eh,
Boys.
For me, it's one of there's so much. It's like scratching the surface because there's, I don't know. It's for me. There's a lot of life underneath that, and I think it's provoking this and releasing all whatever comes up is something that sort of excites me. I think, and yeah, because I this has been quite a path for me, with this whole kind of tantra and la 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 la, and I just realized that this is such a huge part of of my life in a way, sometimes suppressed. Um, and when it is suppressed, I just try to convince myself, oh, it's okay, it's fine, it's doesn't matter, not so important. Pretty much. So I see there's a parallel here between anger. Both are very strong life energies. Well, probably the same energy anyway, but very strong, like super strong. Um, and I just noticed that it is never brought up. It's like for some reason, um, I never heard of it here, at least.
Well, you're
So
right. It
yeah,
hasn't. It hasn't. I don't remember it ever being brought up either. Um, but that doesn't say it doesn't exist, for sure. Yeah.
no. It does. Well, yeah. Well, it does exist in my life, but statistically, at least, looking at it, the word or or adjacent sort of things um have never occurred here. So it's just it doesn't it's not a question that needs answered. It's just more of an observation, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Before you
Yeah.
go to poach tags and
Hmm. Well, that's an apple for another time, I think.
yeah. But it's just yeah, I'm a little ashamed now. I
But
shouldn't have brought that up.
No, no,
Right.
I'm glad you did. Yeah, I think it's relevant. Yeah, yeah. But it's a huge thing, isn't it? It's as big as the anger, or even bigger than the anger. You know, and as you say, it could be the same thing. You know, yeah.
But even just thinking of other meetings, you know, non-duality meetings with other teachers, and it's never come up that I can think of ever. I never really thought about it, but yeah.
But there's no denying its existence, especially when you look at examples like Osho and there's others that should not be named, perhaps, that have been carried away by the whole sex thing. But then maybe it's not sex, maybe it's power, and who knows? You know, that gets very complex, doesn't it? Yeah.
Ken Wilber has this video that I love, and it goes into all of his different philosophies and the quadrants and all this stuff that's kind of beyond me. But it gives a really good explanation for why someone can be that advanced spiritually, but then act like a 13-year-old when it comes to sex, and I couldn't begin to go into what it is, but it really helped me to kind of, because I've had some teachers that I've gone to that's happened to me, and then I've negated like everything I got from them, which I did get some good stuff, and it helped me to go back and see that no, that part
Yeah,
was
the
still
stuff was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess what I'm going to be thinking about as I cook my poached egg? Apples, of course.
I'm gonna go play with your eggs. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you. It's
Thank
been
you,
great.
Vince. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.